talking to me or is somebody else talking to me? I don't know. I just came across this excellent sort of a news piece that Kaushik Subramanian just bombed me with. He was sharing a link on X, which was about, and just frighteningly so, how market research is being automated by AI. So we asked ChatGPT that
Yeah.
question, isn't it? We asked Chat, does this all mean? And it said, perhaps the thing is that you're not, you're. It's not about you asking the wrong questions. It's the fact that you're asking them at all. That is
Yeah.
as cryptic as ChatGPT can get. So I will stop being cryptic, and maybe what you can do is set this subject up. And what we want to do is talk about it from, say, the marketing implications rather than any job losses or anything. But why don't you set it up for us?
Yeah, sure. So the video that you shared was by Alfred Wolfers.
Yeah,
He was sharing about this company called Listen Labs, Listen
yeah,
AI, right?
yeah,
So so this company is already working with clients like Canva,
yeah,
and so basically what it's doing is taking customer interviews. It
yeah,
takes your personality, AI personality test. It asks you a bunch of questions, and depending on those questions, it makes user personas or classifies you into user personas
yeah.
and builds helps the marketing strategists, or rather the market researchers, understand the consumer from a more reptilian brain lens rather than just what they are saying, right?
Hmm.
So and this is not just one company in this space, right? You have companies like Icon coming up that can
Yeah,
go through tons of performance marketing data, the kind of ads that are working, create ads for you. Then we go into the whole Gen AI sector. So basically, what's happening right now is there is an entire ecosystem being created from point A of a marketer's journey to the end point, which is the campaign execution or the design execution,
hmm.
right? Now, but looking at companies like Listen AI, Listen
Hmm.
Labs, right? We always had this perspective of AI being a predictive AI or a Gen AI,
Yeah,
something that give us the results or make our systems smoother or faster or whatever.
efficient.
And
Yeah.
there was always this lens that AI cannot do what a human being can do. The kind of questions that human beings can ask, the AI cannot. But now with companies like Listen Labs or Icon, we are getting over this bias also,
Hmm.
that AI can't do what the humans can do. So this leads us into a very interesting space on what market research or consumer research will evolve to be into tomorrow, and what implications does a marketer need to take care of in the future.
Wait, so Janavi, this is really interesting, and I wanted to explain this a little more to me. Are you saying that this AI, through its persona building stuff, can actually tap into? You said reptilian brain, so I'm not too sure about what that means, because as I understand it, typical market research was the biggest problem, and that's what the chat gpt cryptic insight was, that you're asking them at all, you're asking questions at all, so the problem is that when you ask questions, your prefrontal cortex, your logical rational thinking brain is
Yeah.
coming into the act, and therefore you may get a little bias from that perspective, because you're able to couch your response. What they call socially desirable response also comes in through
Right.
here. Now when you say reptilian brain, that is the deepest part of your brain, right? And that is something which existed even before language existed, for example. Now I'm wondering, are you saying reptilian brain, or are you just saying subconscious? I'm not too sure about what
So,
where the line is. Yeah.
yeah. So what I'm saying is that this company, though might not be able to understand consumer to the point a human can, but this is definitely the beginning of that era, right? The more Now the problem with AI right now is it's just taking the data, and data is based on our social validation data
Yeah.
points. What we say on social media, what we say we feel in the interviews and whatever. Right now, it's replicating the human process. But now there is a very big scope for consumer psychology or behavioral psychology to come into the picture. We have already crossed the threshold where the bare minimum that market researchers used to do has been crossed. The AI companies are there for that.
Yeah,
Now we have go to the L2 level of L2 level of research, which
yeah.
I think will be the future of research, which is behavioral psychology. And this is where the reptilian brain will come into play.
So what is really interesting in what you're saying is that that means that you're, because of the kind of responses that I'm giving you, I'm able to fit you as to what persona type you are, and what it is. And so therefore I'm predicting the way in which your neural networks are functioning, and therefore I'm getting answers from the neural network and the way in which you're answering these questions rather than the answers themselves.
Correct.
It's quite likely that that is, first of all, that is very frightening at a life level. But secondly, I think it has tremendous marketing implications, because
Absolutely.
what we're doing is we're coming closer to the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you think the biggest implications are going to be like, besides obviously the typical job loss situation and all of that? What do you think a marketer should be doing?
Yeah, so first of all, I am very, very happy for the shift that is happening, because till date, what we have been doing is sending out surveys, trying to understand what the consumer is saying, right? And all the answers that we got were the very surface level kind of answers.
Yeah,
Now is the era of the marketers who didn't just get into marketing by reading Kotler. They
yeah.
got into marketing because they understood that there is a whole layer beneath that data, that
Hmm.
who just took the data as a starting point and not your end result, right? So now this is the time for the L2 level of marketers coming into the picture. I was having this conversation with ChatGPT, some random conversation, and I was just asking it, how can you figure out what a person is trying to say,
Hmm.
by the way they are saying it, how to differentiate two different people who are saying the exact same things.
Yeah,
And the answer that GPT gave me was, it is not about what you are saying, it is about the kind of words that you are using to explain something,
yeah,
right? So you and I could be talking about the exact same thing, but the tone in which we say, or the kind of words that we use, the kind of emotions that go behind that word,
yeah.
explain differ you from me. And
Absolutely.
this is something that only marketers till now who have gone deep into psychology, who don't take psychology as a different subject but take psychology as a part of marketing, right? These are the only people who have been able to unfold or decode this kind of a consumer behavior. The
Yeah,
rest of the marketers just look at what the consumer is saying. Now, for example, there can be a survey that says, which OTTs do you watch? Netflix, Hotstar, whatever. And on basis of that, they'll just say, okay, this is a Hollywood facing consumer, this is a Bollywood facing consumer, and make your ads accordingly. And
yeah,
this has been general practice till now. Now, the L2 level of marketer will never ask you what OTT you're using. And L2 level will always give you, these are the songs, choose one song from this. These are the movies, choose one movie from this. These are some few sample poems, choose your
yeah,
poem from that. They
yeah.
are just trying to find patterns. And nobody is as good in finding pattern as an AI.
Yeah, that's so true. Well said. I think that this has tremendous marketing implications because it allows us to understand metadata. It also allows us to understand pattern recognition, which means that we are getting closer to the truth. Now, for marketers, I would agree with you. I would rejoice, although I would be a little skeptical about whether it is hallucinating this data or it is actually giving some real answers. So that I would certainly look at it with a little level of skepticism. But what we know is that it gets better when it's trained. And it'll keep getting better when it's trained.
Right.
So where does that leave us? Because what we thought was that, okay, earlier human beings could say, no, you know what, the way in which he said it meant that, even though he said I hate you, it was actually I love you, right? So it was really weird, that we could make sense of how people are saying things. And it is frightening that AI has now just tripped up to another level, wherein they're trying to understand, how what you're actually thinking. Of course,
Yeah.
we still have a bit of a head start because there are so many micro expressions and there are so many ways and methods in which we speak. But the speed at which AI is catching up, it's quite likely that maybe in a few years, it's quite, we won't be asking questions at all. We'll just ask some random questions, or maybe those random questions have already been asked to us.
Already win the patents, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And
Yes.
so anytime I just come across, with my face and whatever is happening, pattern recognition will happen, and okay, this guy prefers this. That doesn't happen, and minority report will strike all of us. I don't know what to say about that. Besides that, I don't know. Are you
I
worried?
think the best AI or the best marketer or basically any best professional will be the one who is aiming that at some point AI will be able to replace him. I don't
Mm.
want to continue doing the same kind of research that I'm doing right now. I don't want to spend 10 hours on GPT just trying to understand the market. If the AI can just tell me what to do, then I can use my creative brains to understand, okay, this is the strategy that will be the most, lowest hanging or different in the market, get you into a blue ocean and whatever. So my
I,
thinking gap will get more of an opportunity if I'm not doing the rote work.
I think what you're saying is absolutely right, and maybe we should end this particular one episode with a bit of positivity, right? It's quite likely that we will up our game. Okay, and I think that eventually people who win are relatively winning. Relatively winning meaning not absolutely winning. They're relatively winning with other people who are not using it as effectively, or anything of that sort. So whenever you're actually focusing on how can I use this to make myself, my own standards go up a little better than what I was yesterday? I think that's the only thing we really have in our control. So, for all those market researchers who are maybe lamenting the fact that, okay, now AI is doing this too, maybe what it's the time to ask ourselves, what else can we do? How can we make the bar higher up? Of course, AI will follow us, but then the
But
challenge
it
will.
will follow us. It'll follow us. That is the key phrase here.
I hope so. Until
I,
generative,
I, I don't mind a personal Jarvis, honestly.
I'm telling you, you are the personal Jarvis. On that happy note, on that happy note. Okay, wonderful. Till
Okay.
next time,
Happy
Janvi.
Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday.